Welcome to Westchester Township, Ohio. This community is located in the southeast corner of Butler County in an oval area geologically known as the Cincinnati Arch because it has been one of the best on the North American continent for collecting fossils, due to the Miami Valley once lying at the bottom of an ancient ocean. Westchester is bordered directly north by Liberty Township, and the two are often referred to as one community, even though they are separate. Westchester itself holds a population of over 64,000 people within 35 square miles of residential and business spaces, with the main method of transportation being personal vehicle. There are 11 constituent neighborhoods that make up Westchester Township. There are also several public parks and commercialized shopping spaces, along with country clubs, golfing centers, and entertainment centers. The neighborhoods are well kept, and the majority are single family homes built in the 1960s with brick ranch style layouts. Dispersed throughout are newer, more modern style neighborhoods that are spacious, and the houses are multi level single family homes. In between these neighborhoods and various commercialized spaces, a plethora of school buildings that belong to the Lakota Local School District can be found. With 23 school buildings located in 63 square miles, Lakota services Westchester and Liberty Township and is the largest suburban public school district in Southwest Ohio. Westchester has 5 fire departments, a hazmat station, 1 main police station, and 1 Butler County Area 3 courthouse. There is a Miami University branch located at Miami University Voice of America Learning Center. There are also several branches of the Cincinnati area hospitals, including UC Westchester, the Christ Hospital Liberty, and Tri-Health Westchester. Just over the border into Liberty Township, Cincinnati Children's Liberty Campus can be found. The majority religion is Christian, although there is one Catholic church and one Islamic center of Greater Cincinnati. The majority of community members are upper and middle class families. The majority work white collar jobs and live above poverty level, and the unemployment rate is estimated at 1.7%. Most community members have private or public health insurance as well. Even with great statistics like this, there is still a high prevalence of respiratory issues, heart disease, and cancer. 5% of community members have no private or public health insurance, and the infant mortality rates are 5.8 white babies per 1,000 and 20 black babies per 1,000. In 2018, 336 respiratory issue related deaths were reported as well. Within Westchester and Butler County, respiratory related deaths are the largest percent of deaths each year. According to the World Health Organization, in an article written about the global impact of respiratory disease in 2017, about 65 million people suffer from COPD and 3 million people die from it each year, making it the third leading cause of death worldwide. Due to this being a leading cause of death, respiratory related issues are a very serious and prevalent problem in all communities, but Westchester in particular, due to the location of companies in nearby communities that produce substantial amounts of pollution in the air. As a result, this causes respiratory related issues in many community members. The primary goal of my project is for the adult population in Westchester who are diagnosed with COPD to demonstrate improved ventilation techniques, adequate oxygenation of tissues, and be free of symptoms of respiratory distress within 1 year of the implementation of objectives. The objectives of my project include pulse oximetry readings above 92% at sitting and standing positions with or without oxygen use, expectoration of sputum and frequent clearing of excess mucus if necessary, increasing exercise regimens specific to each individual and dependent upon each person's individual respiratory issues, continual evaluation of activity tolerance levels and increasing endurance and strength without causing severe shortness of breath, and enhancing one's sense of well-being by increasing their endurance and ability to tolerate different levels of activity. These objectives will be completed through several interventions. The interventions will include assessing and monitoring respirations for tachypnea, symptoms of decreased oxygen levels such as restlessness, anxiety, and accessory muscle use, teaching breathing exercises and providing a certain amount of breathing exercises to be completed per day based on each individual's needs, teaching how to use suction and how to cough and deep breathe to move excessive secretions and open up the airway. And the last intervention to be implemented will include providing a specific exercise regimen to each individual, with a daily and weekly exercise plan, including weightlifting, aerobics, and cardio exercises such as walking or running based on each person's activity tolerance. Oxygen and heart rate levels will be monitored before exercise begins, during, and directly after exercise ends to measure endurance levels. This will help to build endurance, activity tolerance, and create a positive sense of overall well-being by helping with one's energy levels. These objectives and interventions will be measured in several different ways. For pulse oximetry readings above 92%, this objective was measured by utilizing a personal pulse oximeter to measure oxygen levels when sitting and standing, and before, during, and after any type of physical activity or exercise. Any symptoms showing decreased oxygen levels were also recorded in a notebook with the time they began, the duration, and what helped to alleviate them. For expectorating sputum, this objective was measured by teaching breathing exercises with an incentive spirometer and having each individual do them a certain number of times each day. Coughing and deep breathing was also taught to each individual. A small bulb syringe was acquired and provided for suctioning secretions in case it was needed. These objectives were then measured on how each individual's breathing patterns, heart rate, and oxygen levels changed and whether there were improvements. For increasing exercise regimens for each individual, this involved personalizing their daily exercise routine with weightlifting exercise, aerobics, and cardio, such as walking or running, based on their own current activity tolerance levels. These exercise regimens were tracked in a small notebook that each person carried with them. They wrote down their different exercises and when weightlifting amounts increased or decreased, as well as any cardio activities and what it was, as well as the amount of time spent doing it. Each person was also supplied with a pulse oximeter and heart rate monitor to wear that recorded their oxygen and heart rate levels before the exercise began, during the exercise, and after the exercise ceased in order to understand any trends and changes that occurred. These numbers were also tracked in the personalized notebook. At the end, each personalized notebook was evaluated for improvements in activity tolerance and endurance. For enhancing sense of well-being, each patient was interviewed before the exercise regimen was started and after 3 weeks of it being implemented. They were interviewed again 6 months later to compare and contrast any changes they felt. The last interview occurred at the end of 1 year of implementation. Their thoughts and feelings were recorded and changes were noted. The main trends looked for were overall enhancements in their well-being and positive thoughts regarding their activity tolerance and endurance levels, and any negative thoughts were noted, as well as no changes in their thought process. These objectives, interventions, and their evaluations will help us to better attribute to beginning to change the serious consequences that can occur with respiratory-related issues. By implementing these interventions, we can start to make changes in our daily lives that will hopefully lead to less respiratory issues and overall impact our daily lifestyles, leading to longer, healthier lives.